I'm a big fan of silence for me as a way to recharge my batteries and center and focus on what I want to do and why.
Yes.
Now, I would like to hear what's your take on the value of silence, and is there
silence?
Silence? Is there a place for it in your 24/7, 365 life?
No. But that's good. This is important for everybody. It's amazing that you're self-aware and you know your hardwiring, that silence is important to you. The thing that I fear as I grow in popularity is that people try to emulate me. And the reason I continue to put out, now I want to talk about what I think is the way I do it so people can use me as a blueprint for themselves. But the reason every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'll say something that throws them off is I want to remind them that I'm just one human being and this is what works for me. I'm the reverse. Something that, I'm sure D-Rock's laughing right now. There's times when we walk into the office and it's quiet because everybody's on headphones and trying to be respectful, and it freaks me out. I need volume. Like I need the light to see your faces. I need the stimulation. I suffocate in silence. Of course, when I'm exhausted, these guys picked me up last night. We flew from New York to Ireland, 1 hour nap, all day Ireland flight. They picked me up. I had to get mentally ready. I wanted to catch up with him, but I was kind of like, I needed a little bit of silence. Sometimes I need it, but 99% of the time, when I'm awake, I need action. And so, but you have to understand, and I think we're gonna connect on this, I'm only comfortable and at peace in the chaos.
Yeah.
When I get silence, I get sad, I get anxious. It's not interesting to me. So I think the key here is to just know yourself and not try to map to, this person. One of the biggest reasons I go after Steve Jobs' legacy is because I want to build the biggest company in the world, and I want to do it by being nice to my people. But all the kids in Silicon Valley, after Steve Jobs got so big, everybody heard how tough he was on people, so they were faking it. I had good people, good friends, who I knew very well, start being assholes at work because they thought that's how you had to do it to be successful. Fuck that. I think you get much more out of honey than vinegar. Much more from people. So, I'm comfortable doing it my way. I have no interest in imposing my way on you. I think it's important for you to see how I do it. The reason we started Garyvee the vlog is when I was talking about hustling and working hard, people interpreted that differently. Now that they see it, they're like, fuck. Is that really me? Do I want it that bad? Like to achieve greatness, wow, it takes real work. Everybody's fascinated by luck or the big idea. It doesn't exist. You don't know a single person that's made it big unless they work their face off. You might know somebody who inherited a lot of money from mommy and daddy. They may be rich, but they didn't build it. Anybody you've ever met that built something worked their fucking face off. This is a self-esteem game. Mm-hmm. So there's no drug for self-esteem. People in here who were unfortunate and had parents or were hardwired in a way that lacks self-esteem, you're not gonna be able to fix that overnight. You can't just be a cheerleader. And for 2 minutes, they'll be like, yeah, and then you walk away and they're like, no. So there's a couple things. First and foremost, negative comments. I really don't give a fuck either. However, I take every one of them seriously. I think the biggest thing that is missing in the world today, politically, globally, business, is empathy. We lack empathy in today's society at a level that is very intriguing. I'm trying to go backwards and figure out why over the last 30 years, 40 years, have we lost so much empathy, or do we just not have it? Is that just a skill that humans have always underperformed in, which is, by the way, something that I'm starting to realize looks like it's gonna be the case. But we lack empathy. So when I get negative comments, the reason I like looking at them is I respect, back to making that joke of that lovely lady, they're the market. They think I'm full of shit. They think I'm too egotistical. They think I'm wrong. Like, I wanna understand why, and I wanna respect that they're coming with it. Most negative comments, especially because I have a lot of young dude fans, come at very harsh terminology. I don't respect the vulgar or the language or but I do respect the energy. That's what I've done is I've done it up front. So before you even start with them, I'm very aggressive of this is gonna happen and really getting there and spending a lot of time in the beginning So that instead, when it happens and they look at you and go, whoa, you've already had that talk. And I mean really have the talk. It's probably, with small businesses, what I spend 70% of my energy on in getting them mentally prepared for somebody saying, your ice cream sucks. But they're used to it in America in some ways because of Yelp, and they've been dealing with that. But yeah, I mean, what makes me so sad at the macro is those couple of negative comments compared to all the upside of producing content and being on the offense and being aggressive. The weight is, right? Yet, unfortunately, so many people are crippled by even one negative comment because of their own internal wiring. It's a challenge. What I would say is you need to be patient and you need to be understanding, because you can't just instill self-esteem overnight. Can I answer you real fast and you'll understand it forever?
Okay.
Macro patience, micro speed.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and let me expand on it, because that didn't work. Fuck. No, hold on. Back. Macro patience. You're a young man building something meaningful, a relationship, a business. It takes 10, 20, 30 years. On your day-to-day work, you have to be fast. With the clients, they email you, you email them back. Like your day-to-day, but your vision, what you want to achieve in life, you're not going to build it in 1 year. And so many people have it reversed. In the day-to-day, they're slow. And in the macro, they want their business to be huge the next day. So you need to reverse it.
So if you have to make the decision between, in my case, building a better framework or focusing on that, or trying to find more customers, what would you advise? Knowing that I don't need the money of new customers right now.
Both.
Okay. Okay.
And so here's an answer of both. Number one, how hard are you working? I don't know. If you're working 12 hours a day, I feel like you could work 17 if you want, right? Number two, if you're working every hour and you can't work more, with the money that's coming in, too many young people and too many young businesses, when they start having money come in, take it for themselves. They want to buy a good watch. They want to buy a good car. They want to buy fancier shoes. What I would do is when my first money, so here's my story. This is not advice I'm giving just for fun. This is my life. I walked in my dad's store. It did $3 million a year, 10% gross profit, $300,000 in profit before expenses. We had no money. I was making $40,000 a year, 37.4 actually. And I built that business from 3 to 45 million in the first kind of 4 or 5 years. And 5 years later, this is doing $45 million in sales, and I'm making $40,000. This is the advice I gave. And by the way, I was in my 20s and a guy. The exact time, if you're making that kind of money, that you want to use it to do guy things, right? I put it back into the business. I hired 4 more managers, 6 more managers, 7 more managers. I did more advertising. I built a business. So if this money's coming from Chile and the US and Mexico, hire people. Then you can do both.
Okay.
Are you planning on this business still being your business 5 years from today?
Yes.
Okay, then I would invest every penny you can afford that doesn't put you personally in bankruptcy or out of business.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
If you were looking to sell the business in the next 2 or 3 years, then there's a debate. But if you put in the money now and you're gonna be in business in 5 years, and assuming that you're right, you're gonna have a much better business. And so that's why it's the right bet. VaynerMedia. VaynerMedia, again, I always like when I can give you examples of what I'm doing, because it's not just me, oh, I made it, let me give advice. The last 2 years, I've run VaynerMedia as a CEO. 2 years ago, the business did $67 million in revenue. It's an agency. Last year, it did 100 million. Both years, we made the same amount of money. The bottom line made the same amount of money. When you make $33 million more in revenue, and you make the same amount of money that you did the year before, you're doing 2 things, the 2 things I believe in. 1, I'm investing in the business for real. Number 2, I took a lot of risks, many of which will work, many of which won't. But it felt like the right year to take those risks because I was tasting that the business was gonna go from 67 to 100, so I knew that I had the economics to make those bets. So, I think one of the things that makes me comfortable, and one of the reasons I want to remind people in this room, especially in the advent of the new digital world where every 20-year-old thinks they're an expert, I spent 13 years building a business, 365 days a year, 15 hours a day, before I ever made a blog post, before I ever wrote a book, before I ever gave a speech. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I only give advice that I actually do myself. It's your job to interpret where you and I are different, because everything I do won't necessarily work for you, but the advice is me eating what I'm serving. My friends, we lack common sense. We go through school and we get educated, and it takes over the part of our brain that is left for common sense. What I just said is funny. Like some of you snicker, it's funny. It makes so much sense. We forget why we're doing things, and so we get into the tactics, not the strategy. You have business cards to do fucking business. All of you have probably missed minimum 50% of your business card exchanges. We have this now. Use it. And that's the same thing for everything. What was the purpose of the video? Not to make a commercial, to sell somebody on the emotion of the video so they buy it. So if you have to make that story in 48 seconds, make it in 48 seconds, not because 30 was the way we did it. Facebook's direct mail. You have their address. You actually know how old they are, what they care about, how many kids they have, when they got married. You know way more than the mailbox knows. What are you doing with your direct mail when you get home? Let me save you time. It's real. And by the way, again, history. History will always tell you the future. Go get educated on what happened in marketing and business in the late 40s to the early 50s in the US and Western Europe. You will see it. There was a major transition because people held on to the romance of radio and disrespected the emergence of television. Now we're doing that with the television instead of the cell phone and the networks that dominate the cell phone. Television, Facebook is the #1 channel on this television. You need to become the #1 show on that channel. There's a lot more shows, and that comes down to content.